The Leaf season is about to start, and there was a bunch of news. There's a bunch more news to come, and I'm really busy, so I'm just going to make a quick video, and I got to take this off. You ever see something that seems like a great idea? God, that doesn't fit at all. I got a haircut. Hi! So, the Leafs made a bunch of roster moves, and they're going to be out of date really quick. They have a 23-man roster, which is not news in most years. They aim to have 23 guys. They have their team of 20 and 3 spares. This year, they cannot do that. I'm not sure if the Leafs are going to have any spares. Maybe sometimes they have 1, maybe 2. There's been rumors that throughout the season, because of cap constrictions, the Leafs may actually have a short lineup. Like, they might have to go with 11 forwards instead of 12. So, with that in mind, here is the news so far. The Toronto Maple Leafs announced a series of transactions today. The following 4 players have been placed on waivers for the purpose of being reassigned to the Toronto Marlies of the AHL. Kenny Agostino, Kevin Gravel, Nick Petan, and Garrett Wilson. Igor Korshkov has been assigned to the Toronto Marlies. Kalle Kassala and Mason Marchment, both of whom got injured during the preseason, have been designated as injured non-roster players. Matt Reed has been released from his professional tryout and has signed a 1-year AHL contract with the Toronto Marlies. And of course, they sent a few guys down to the Marlies after they cleared waivers already. One of them was Ben Harpur, and that was fairly big news. He did not have a good preseason. And Jordan Schmaltz, who I really think there was a wide open job for him, especially as a right-handed defenseman, and he wasn't able to make it. So, Garrett Wilson, we obviously didn't see him in the preseason, but he spent most of last year with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Unfortunately, he was injured. You got to think he would have had a shot, so that's really disheartening for him. Kenny Agostino, I had penciled in as the Leafs' 4th-line left winger when I saw them sign 7 guys on the same day. He didn't have the greatest season in Montreal. Then he went to New Jersey and was very good. I thought he was great in the preseason. Bit surprised he didn't make it. Kevin Gravel, was pleasantly surprised with. He seems like a legitimate NHL option if they really got into a bind. Nick Petan is the one people were shocked with. And for whatever reason, and we've seen this over the years, sometimes Mike Babcock just doesn't like a player. He doesn't put the spice in his chili. Nick Petan had a really good game. I believe it was when the Leafs sent out their AHL squad against the Montreal Canadiens. Nick Petan is on the first line, and I thought he killed it. And the Leafs obviously won that game. Korshkov scored in that game as well. But the next game, Babcock is like, I want to see these tweener guys, these bubble guys, even though they're on the top line, I want to see them play like 4th-liners. And as much as people loved Petan's game, I never really saw that out of him. He's fancy. He got rocked a lot. I don't know if that relationship is ever going to work. That being said, is Nick Petan an NHL player? I think so, absolutely. Is Kenny Agostino an NHL player? I think so, absolutely. The Leafs are taking a risk sending these guys down, and I think in a normal season, they keep at least one of them, I think. Korshkov's preseason, I thought, was absolutely fantastic. That guy's an NHL player to me, a Babcock-type NHL player. He's a guy who sort of played that depth style, but was also skilled. He's 6'4" or whatever he is every time he steps on the ice, but he's playing his first North American hockey. It didn't make sense to have him up when he didn't need to be up, and he's one of the few bubble guys who they could actually send down. That was perfectly fine. That made sense. He will be in a Toronto Maple Leafs uniform if he stays healthy, mark my words. Now let's look at the lineup. From Jonas Siegel, the Leafs lines today: Andreas Johnsson, Austin Matthews, William Nylander. Absolutely no surprises there, and they look great in the preseason. Kasperi Kapanen filling in for Zach Hyman, John Tavares, and Mitch Marner. Absolutely no surprise there. Ilya Mikheyev, who was fantastic this preseason with Alexander Kerfoot and Trevor Moore. Not a surprise. We've seen that all preseason. Dmytro Timashov, Frederick Gauthier in the middle, and Jason Spezza on the right wing, probably filling in at center a bunch, and Nick Shore appears to be the spare up front. Timashov had a good preseason, but I gotta say I'm shocked. You probably heard in the prospect pyramid video I did, that is when I wasn't screwing up Nick Robertson's position, Dmytro Timashov needed to take the next step Like, he needed to be a prospect that really stood out among the Leafs prospects, especially the wingers, and I just didn't think he was that at all. I know a lot of people were talking about Jeremy Bracco. I think he's going to go and get some seasoning. We know he can put up a ton of points. We know he can play on the power play. He's got to develop that 200-foot game. Dmytro Timashov is probably a more complete player, but I didn't think he was enough to secure a spot in an NHL team. It's probably a little bit of cap stuff on account of he's super duper cheap and the cheapest option possible, but he also had a really good preseason, and Mike Babcock gave him the stamp of approval. That's why he made it. Nick Shore, right-handed shot, spare center, and Mike Babcock's mantra, you can never have enough centers. Now, the reason I'm throwing this video together really quickly is I think one of the two big guys the Leafs put on waivers today is going to get claimed. I think one of Nick Petan or Kenny Agostino is going to get claimed. I'd be very surprised if they weren't. For crying out loud, I know they have cap restrictions, and God bless the guy, but Thomas Jurcho is on Connor McDavid's left wing right now. Thomas Jurcho is an accomplished scorer at the American Hockey League level, but the one thing that both Kenny Agostino and Nick Petan have over him is they played NHL games last year. I have a hard time believing both guys are going to clear. So if one or both of them gets claimed, they're screwed. Oh no. Well, no. Remember, there's Korshkov, like I said. Also, there is the option of Matt Reed. Matt Reed was released from his tryout contract, but now he's on an AHL contract. If one of Agostino or Petan gets claimed, they can sign him. He might have to go through waivers himself, but I'm a lot more confident he'll pass through, especially after the big wave of preseason guys go through. Really not worried there. But now, at least until Zach Hyman gets back, what an opportunity for Dmytro Timashov, and what a raise, too, for him. Here's what we got on defense. Morgan Rielly, Cody Ceci. Absolutely no surprise, other than Morgan Rielly is playing with someone who actually shoots right for a change. Jake Muzzin, Tyson Barrie. Absolutely no surprise. Rasmus Sandin. Wow! And Martin Marincin on his right, which is funny because the two spares right now are two right-handed shots, Justin Hall and Timothy Liljegren. Frederik Andersen, obviously the goalie, and Michael Hutchison, the backup. No shock there. I'm not even going to get into it. Some people were like, oh, Casey DeSmith is on waivers today. Well, I don't really want Casey DeSmith to be the Leafs goalie, and also they can't afford him. He makes over $1 million, so that's to bed. So, Rasmus Sandin blew me away. I knew he was good with the Marlies last year. I knew Sheldon Keefe rode him like a pony, had him playing about half an hour a game certain nights, playing on the top pair a lot of nights. I did not think he could play 31 minutes in a preseason game and look flawless the entire time. And not to insult the guy, but his defense partner was Martin Marincin, man. That, I suppose, is what they're going to stick with to start the season. I heard some people going, oh, well, Liljegren's on the team, and they were a pairing on the Marlies. Maybe they'll stick Sandin with Liljegren. I do think that is the eventual plan, but seeing as they didn't play together at all, or maybe barely, super early on, I don't understand what the point of that would be. So right now, Rasmus Sandin basically has a mission, and that is to stay in the lineup at very least until Travis Dermott gets back from injury. Now, really interesting there, because if I'm not mistaken, Rasmus Sandin, because he's 19 years old, but European, if he plays 9 games or fewer, I believe his entry-level contract slides a year. Now, some people are talking about that. Oh, you know, when is this guy's contract going to end up? Guys, leave that all alone. This Leafs team is so deep and so good, and Rasmus Sandin looks so good. You can't be thinking about that stuff. Does he deserve to be on the team or not? I'm hoping at some point it's Rielly, Ceci, Muzzin, Barrie, Sandin, Dermott. Seriously, that is a really nice top 6. It is at very least way better than what they had last year. No disrespect to anyone who was there. I mentioned that the Leafs are barely going to be able to carry any spares, if any. So, Timothy Liljegren, I think, is going to get sent down, and Justin Holl, I really don't know. I think he might end up getting waived, because here's the thing. They can't afford it, like I said. They need to be as close to the cap as possible to get the full benefit from the LTIR from Nathan Horton and David Clarkson, and I forget exactly how that works. It's super complicated. But I gotta think at least one of those players is going to get sent down or waived. Timothy Liljegren is the easiest option. You can just send him down without having to waive him, obviously. So, with the Leafs cap uncertainty, with the Leafs having waiver uncertainty, with a lot of teams having waivers uncertainty, Josh Ho-Sang is on waivers today. Sven Baertschi is on waivers. A lot of unexpected stuff. Casey DeSmith is another guy I mentioned. The Penguins are trying to unload Jack Johnson. The Montreal Canadiens have been trying to acquire players all summer long to no avail. Offer sheets, they offered Jake Gardiner more than the Carolina Hurricanes are currently paying him, and they weren't able to do it. I don't think this is how the season is going to go down. Something's going to happen, and that's why I got to leave it here. I can't make a video about the Leafs' final roster for the season because I do not believe this is the Leafs' final roster for the beginning of the season, and it's going to change at least once more between now and puck drop on October 2nd. That's Wednesday. That's so soon! Are you jacked? So leave a comment down below. What do you think about this Leafs team? What do you think about Timashov making the team? What do you think about Sandin? What do you think about him playing with Marincin? A lot of people were yelling at me the other day, who would you have put instead of Marincin? Because all the answers I saw were wrong. What do you think? What's going to happen? Let me know. That is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you liked this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends to go to Cap Friendly because it's a good site, it's a good resource, it's really smart and knows more than your friend. Like, tell them that it's not an insult, it's just true. If you like this video, please consider making a donation to Easter Seals Ontario, a charity that helps kids with physical disabilities. I'm trying to raise $50,000 for them between now and November 14th. Help me out, link down below. Easter Seals Ontario.